Please continue to stand for Kenya National Anthem. Thank you very much. We all sit. I will call my colleague Collins. We will do an Islamic prayer and a Christian prayer. Collins. In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful, you alone do we worship, you alone do you seek guidance. Please protect us, guide us in the right pathway. Oh God, please bless our gathering today. Shower your blessings and make it successful. May we all achieve the goals that we are all looking for. May God protect us, protect our children, protect our families, protect our community, and protect our community here and protect our community back home. Amen. Amen.
Let us pray. Our Father and our Lord in heaven, we thank you for gathering us here. We pray that you may be with us as we interact with one another, as we receive our representatives from our country. We pray that the meeting will go as planned. May you bless us, bless those who are back in Kenya, bless us who are here. And I pray for journey mercies for those who are still on their way coming. May you help them to make haste so they can make it to the program. We pray all this in the name of Jesus Christ our Savior.
Hello, 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 hello! How are you all doing? First and foremost, I'd like to give you my heartfelt gratitude for your presence here on Memorial Day, especially a meeting that was organized on a very short notice. It speaks volume about your love, your commitment to be here with us this afternoon and to honor our very, very special guests. Mine is to welcome. I don't want to spend a lot of time here, but I want to let you know that we are not just a small group, but we are a small, mighty group. It is only the few, historically, it's only the few mighty that has in turn changed history. I think this is a historic moment. It's a first of its kind. I'm not going to say more, you'll learn a lot more. With that, I will invite Dr. Bogonko to come and introduce our guest of honor.
Jambo. I'm Jambo Tana. Okay, my name is Edwin Bogonko. I'm a practicing physician here in the Twin Cities. I look around and I know quite a number of people, so that's all I'm going to say about myself because the person I'm about to introduce has real letters. On January 20th, 1961, John F. Kennedy was being inaugurated, and he asked not what the country can do for you, rather what you can do for your country, in celebrating liberty and freedom, and the idea that you can do a lot more than always complaining about the government this and the government that. I'm pretty sure the person I'm about to introduce is leading an office that is new, And I think it's an office we ought to ask ourselves, how can we work with this office to contribute to our country, to help us fellow citizens and our families in a much better way, and also protect our rights. With that, I'm having the distinct honor and privilege of introducing Ms. ROSELINE NJOGU, the inaugural Principal Secretary in the State Department of Diaspora Affairs in the Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, charged with the promotion of continuous dialogue with Kenyans abroad, championing the protection of Kenya's diaspora rights and welfare, supporting Kenyans in the diaspora in harnessing more opportunities for employment and enterprise development, developing incentive framework for diaspora remittances, harness diaspora savings in order to facilitate foreign direct investment and technology transfers, and mainstreaming the Kenyan diaspora into the national development process. In other words, this is an office designed for you who are seated here to contribute to your country. In person, Rosa is an advocate of the High Court of Kenya with 15 years of legal experience advising corporations in technology, health, energy, financial services, and international development. She is also the co-founder and partner in charge of commercial law practice at LexLink Consulting, as well as Omondi, Mutava and Company Advocates. And she's a general counsel and co-founder of a startup called AfyaKit. She holds a Master's of Laws degree from Harvard Law School, the alma mater of Barack Obama and others, a Bachelor of Laws degree from the University of Nairobi, and currently pursuing a PhD at the same university. The topic of our thesis is Why Food and Power, the Triple Bind of Law, Religion, and Imperialism. An accomplished public intellectual, Rosa has taught family law, succession and gender law over 11 years and published extensively. Currently, she is teaching at Strathmore University in Nairobi, and her research agenda includes investigating the triple bind of gender, religion, culture, and structures of power. So she is a student of law, religion, and imperialism, to put it bluntly. A post-colonial feminist scholar, her teaching scholarship and revolves around the deconstruction of the hegemonies of law, religion, and other structures of power. Please join me in welcoming Ms. ROSELINE NJOGU.
Hello. Naomba tuketi tafadhali. Ladies and gentlemen of Minnesota, I'm told that's how you say it here. I'm saying Minnesota. Boys and girls, I think I've seen some children. I'm so happy to see children at a diaspora engagement. It doesn't always happen. Good afternoon? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Wakenya hamjambo. Hamjambo. It's really a pleasure to be here. It's my first time in Minneapolis. I'm very excited to be out here in the land of 10,000 lakes. Yeah? And very happy to see you all. And I'm hoping at some point we'll get to introduce ourselves. I'd like very much to know who is in the room and who I'm speaking to, and have this family conversation. The reason I'm here is to do that. At the door or at the entrance, I saw that my team has put up one of these roll-up banners that talk about what our mandate at the State Department for Diaspora Affairs is. And a big part of that mandate is promoting dialogue, continuous dialogue between ourselves, and by ourselves I mean GOK and the diaspora, and making sure that we're in constant communication. So I'm very happy to be here today doing that, having conversation with Kenyans, listening to your ideas, giving you ideas and updates from home, and then charting the way forward together. So I would like to tell you a little bit about what it is that we are working on back home. I have some very few remarks I would like to share with you, and then I would like us to engage in a conversation. I would like to hear your questions, if you have any, or remarks, and then we can have a sort of engaging conversation. Allow me first to recognize the presence of our dear friend and our representative, Rep Noor, who is here with us. And then allow me also to recognize really quickly my team from Nairobi. If you would kindly stand and just wave at people. That is Velma. Okay, they are everywhere in the room. From Nairobi and from Kenya Embassy. So if there are questions later, these are the people, if you can't catch me, who you can find, and then they'll be able to help us. Okay, so colleagues and friends from Minnesota, ladies and gentlemen, la kwanza naomba mpokee salamu kutoka jamhuri lenu la Kenya, and allow me to bring greetings all the way from home. Hamjambo. It's really an honor to be here to address you here this afternoon, the Kenyan diaspora in this beautiful state of Minnesota, which I have really enjoyed driving through today. It's truly beautiful, very green, water everywhere, and it appears it is raining, so I guess there will be more water later. It's very beautiful. So it's really a pleasure for me and for our team to be here, and allow me to extend my gratitude also to the diasporians who are able to put together this meeting, and the various leaders of our diaspora community here and diaspora communities here within Minnesota. Asanteni sana for putting this event together. But also I want to thank you for coming out during what is public holiday? Do you call them public holidays here? Yeah. Yes. It's a sign of your sacrifice to show up on a day when you could be doing other things. So I appreciate you coming here to have a conversation. Under the leadership of His Excellency President William Ruto, you know that the State Department for Diaspora Affairs was formed some 17 months ago now, and really was established for us to be able to listen in a structured way to your voice as the diaspora. And that dream, and I am aware the State Department for Diaspora Affairs is one of those that was formed out of agitation by the diaspora and asking for a place within government that was your own. So that dream and those desires then were distilled into a 9-point mandate, which I found at the entrance of this community center when I arrived. But it is based on 3 or 4 big pillars, really, which you find here, which is to protect, to engage, to empower, and to prosper the diaspora. If you unpack all the work that we do in dialogue, the work that we do in creating an incentive framework for remittances, the work we do in ensuring that diaspora's democratic voice can be heard and so on, you can think about it in these pillars. I have been a teacher for some time now. I taught law, as Dr. Bogonko said, for many years. Let me start by asking some questions. What do you see when you look at this? A house? Yes. What do you see? A house.
A world.
A world. Uh-huh.
And a day.
And a what?
And the food.
And food.
And the food.
Food? Oh, okay. The Kenya flag, you said progress. How do you mean by what do you mean by progress? The arrows are going progressively going up, okay? From the middle of the classroom, what do you see? Yes? You see our shield, right? You see the Maasai shield that is found on our flag. This one, you see it here. You see people here. Okay, what else do you notice?
I see a hand.
You see a hand. Yes, it's like this. Okay, what else do you notice? Yes?
Yeah, I see a community coming together.
Oh, there's a story of coming together. Very good, a community being created. Two more? Yes?
Structure?
Structure, interesting. Okay, he sees structure. One more?
Strongest foundation is
A very strong foundation. So let me stop there. Fantastic. You're right. The foundation is much fatter than the rest of the building. It's wider. It speaks to the work that we are trying to do, which is in creating a very firm, broad foundation of protection, right? When we started setting out the State Department, the most important work we thought we needed to do was to protect diaspora rights. And that is different in different places, okay? In certain places, protection is ensuring that labor migrants can have their contracts respected, that we can help Kenyans who are in distress. In other places, it is ensuring that you can find your documents, passports, IDs, and so on done in a speedy and cost-effective way. In other places, it is being able to evacuate Kenyans out of war. Okay, so that is protection. Only after you've protected people then can we talk about engagement, right? You engage people. You can have conversations like the one we are having here. We can speak. And after we've done engagement, we can talk about empowering in terms of job opportunities, opportunities to invest, and then ultimately we can talk about prosperity that is in diaspora investment and so on. So this is the model we decided to embark on when we set up the State Department for Diaspora Affairs. So I'm here really to highlight our commitment as the government of Kenya and as the Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs to support the diaspora in doing various things. As you might be aware, we have been a part of the President's state visit that just concluded over the weekend. And what we are now working on, or why I'm here in Minnesota, and in the next couple of days I will be going to Nebraska, is we are working on a part of our mission, which is to help diaspora find more and more opportunities abroad. Simply put, we are helping Kenyans at home to find opportunities and connect with job opportunities abroad, facilitating their labor mobility and so on. So as you gather here tonight, I know you're coming from various places, different kinds of work. You represent key stakeholders of economic growth in our great country, and I firmly believe each one of you here has the potential to champion the welfare of our brothers and our sisters, to engage in crucial discussions on labor mobility, on skills, and technology transfer. You're aware that Kenya's population, especially back home, is a primarily youthful one. The median age in Kenya is 19. The median age in other parts of the country, such as Canada or Germany, is anything between 43 and 47 years old, which means we have an extremely youthful population, which explains why we have continued to see a lot of labor migration, not just from Kenya into the Middle East, but in many other places, including here. We can expect as a government to see even more labor migration. And what we have done is made a decision as GOK to participate in labor migration in 4 ways. We are in that space to protect Kenyan rights. We are in that space to create policy, to create legislation and regulation, but also to facilitate Kenyans who want to move in ways that are profitable for them. So over the last year and 5 months, in collaboration with other stakeholders such as the State Department for Labor and Skills Development, we've developed the Global Labor Market Strategy to streamline labor mobility and to promote the placement of Kenyan workers overseas. And part of implementing that Global Labor Market Strategy is engagement such as the ones we are here to have in Minnesota with certain actors, both in private sector as well as the government of the state of Minnesota. We have done a number of things and had significant milestones, many of which we are thankful to the diaspora for. We are thankful, for example, that we were able to get the establishment of the Pearson VUE Test Center in Nairobi, which is only the second center, second to South Africa. So we're the second one on the continent, and for that we are very grateful to the great efforts of Representative Mohammed Noor, who is here, Ms. Erica Hughes of Pearson VUE, Bill Akuma, Dr. Faria, and the others who are able to bring this together, and we're very, very grateful. We are aware that in the next, I believe, 2 weeks or so, Pearson VUE are going to begin to offer the first of the NCLEX RN exams. We've done all kinds of exciting projects with the UK, for example, for a seasonal workers program that has seen more than 1,000 young Kenyans now find opportunities in the agricultural sector in the UK. We've held county job fairs, one in Meru and another one coming up in the next 2 weeks in Embu, to facilitate on-the-ground conversations with Kenyans who are looking for opportunities and linking them up with actors in the various places. We're intensifying our focus now that we have to a large extent stabilized the rights and welfare of Kenyans abroad. We are looking to move the conversation up in this progress conversation to engagement, empowerment, and prospering. And maybe let me say this. When I assumed office in December of 2022, we had certain significant challenges. One of our biggest challenges at the time was serious labor distress in the Middle East among Kenyans who were working there. Every other day we were receiving Kenyans who had passed on in the Middle East under difficult circumstances or who were being mistreated. In the last 1 year, if these are things that you have been following, you will notice that you've not seen a case on social media about Kenyans in distress in the Middle East. We have worked very hard to stabilize the welfare of Kenyan domestic workers who have been working in the GCC, and we have succeeded to a large extent. The second area that we had when we took office was consular services, the availability of consular services, especially in jurisdictions that are very large, such as this one. And one of the things we did very quickly is set out a very aggressive program for mobile consular services. The US has probably been the luckiest one, where we've done mobile consular services now it's been more than 2 rounds now. We've gone to several cities and have served thousands and thousands of Kenyans, including the last round that happened, I think, about last month, if I'm not wrong, in April. And from that round, we already know that you've received a number of the passports that were almost all of the passports that were applied for in April are already back in the country. It is things like this that we set out to fix, and we have been able to address to a large extent. One of the other things that we've been able to stabilize very quickly was responding to Kenyans who are in distress during times of war. We've had to do 2 evacuations, one out of Israel and the other one out of Sudan. And you might not know this, but when we evacuated Kenyans out of Sudan and the war broke out last year, we were the first country, apart from Egypt, that shares a border with Sudan. We were the first country in the world to get our citizens home from that war. And that's because we care about Kenyans, and our job is to make sure that wherever our diasporians are, we are there to respond, and to respond quickly. We are committed to collaborating with you and leveraging the resources that are available both in Nairobi, in DC, in New York, and LA, in our various embassies, to help us move the conversation out of the protection line now into what then are we able to do together? In what ways can our diaspora play a critical role? Dr. Pogonko started by quoting a former president here: ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. We haven't needed to ask. A lot of you have come to us with ideas of what they want to do, and we're here to facilitate that dialogue today. So I want to thank you for coming today, and I urge you to continue to stay united here in Minnesota, where you are. And remember to cheer the Kenyan team in the upcoming Olympics in Paris, where of course we'll be participating, and we're all going to see which Kenyans will win which marathons, because we are definitely taking them. And hope to see you at home very soon. Karibuni sana nyumbani, and looking forward to this engagement. Thank you, and God bless you. Now, having said, thank you. Having made those remarks, I now want to open this up to questions, if you have questions.
All right, Minnesota, my name is Jamboni. My name is Kenny, and I want to appreciate each and every one of you for coming to this event, this Memorial Day afternoon. We want to thank, first of all, His Excellency the President for creating the State Department for Diaspora Affairs. As Madam PS just said, this was something that most of us campaigned for, championed, agitated, and finally she's here. She's live in the flesh as a representative and as a sign of the fulfillment of the quest for Diaspora Affairs Unit, Ministry, whatever the case may be. We want to thank Representative Noor also for gracing this occasion. I will not steal the PS's thunder. She delivered quite a good update to us. I think it's about time we had a Q&A, and the plan is for us to ask her questions or comment. As she said, she's ready to engage. So when you're ready, just raise your hand. I will bring the mic to you. And before you ask your question or your comment, please tell us your name and the city you're from, and how long you've been here.
Thank you. I'm sorry I'm a bit late, but I've come. I'm Frederick Mititi, and watching that you can come Honorable Mititi because I always fight for parliamentary seat in Kisii constituency, so that's unknown. So it's better I say my name in full. I stay in Friendly. I've been here for the last 8 years, and I'm among the people, the pioneers of people who founded the UDA Minnesota chapter. I was the first founding chairman, but I left with Mr. Inyeri. I went to fight for the seat in Kenya. So my concerns are 3. 1, we have always said, we requested that we get a direct flight to Minnesota, Kenya Airways. So that they should come here, start, because we have a very good number of people traveling here, especially during the December holidays. So that one should be considered and should be given out because it will help our people, especially those who want to go direct to Nairobi. Second, I would like to request through you the Ministry for Finance, because I remember when we were during the Kibaki government, they introduced what they call bonds for the local people to buy. So you better ask the Ministry of Finance to put the diaspora fund, diaspora bonds, so they can be able to purchase those who want to help the Kenya government raise this revenue. You can buy those bonds because they're secure and they're guaranteed by the government. So I think they will help us. No, okay, I want to finish my question that I just raised in the case. The last one is we requested for an office where we can get our passports and our visas, those who are traveling to Kenya. And because we have a good number of people here living in Minnesota, I think it's high time they introduce that office, which can help us, a consular office, to assist us get our documents as easily as possible. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everybody. Yeah, my name is Obed Ontiri, and I've lived here in Minnesota for... Okay, yeah, my name is Obed Ontiri, and I've lived here in Minnesota for 15 years. And I had a few questions that I wanted to ask. Number one is in regard to... Let me check here really quick. So number one is in regard to the passport applications that we did sometime last year. I applied one for my daughter, and I haven't received any communication in regard to that. So we want to understand why we haven't received that communication. If there is anything that is going on, we need to know what is happening in that regard. And we also saw at some point the government was trying to introduce, is it an application fee of 1 million shillings for, kids born in diaspora, or something of the sort. It's really devastating to see the government trying to introduce such, bylaws or laws or whatever, because number one thing that is key to kids is identity, and kids can only identify with their parents. So we cannot understand why the government would want to punish a kid for trying to identify with their parents. That is really, really wrong. Number two, I could want to talk about the misuse of state resources. I know this doesn't really directly deal with your ministry, but it's something that we've seen over time. We've seen instances where we see, like, the president, the different cabinet secretaries taking choppers to go plant a tree in Western province or Western counties, and people flying to Northern Kenya to coast for using our taxes for that. Imagine a situation where we could use those monies, we send them and engage the people on the ground. We can use that money to employ youths to plant those trees, because a tree doesn't choose if it's been planted by the president or a common man. If we have to do this, the government can be able to do is sensitize the whole initiative and make sure that it comes every holiday. We can do 1 hour tree planting, and that can work instead of misusing state resources in that regard. So we should be able to talk to the government and let them understand that some things they do them in a simplistic way that we can't really comprehend what they're trying to do. And my third question was in regard to diaspora support. I think my friend touched on it, but we've seen instances where you bring people from Kenya to come and serve us here. They really don't know our problems. We need people from the local, the locals here, to be employed by, by the consulate or the embassy, so that they can be able to serve, because they understand more of our problems than people coming from Kenya. Because people coming from, they don't have an idea what is going on here. So we need people to be employed from, if it's Minnesota representatives, we have them deal with Minnesota residents in that regard. Thank you.
Kenya, let's make it short so we can have as many people.
Let's do one more.
Yes. And the ladies, the next round is yes, you get ready.
Good evening. Cabinet, thank you so much for coming. Community leaders, fathers and mothers and the youth, thank you so much. My name's Samuel Mwangi. I'm the Executive Director of the Global Fatherhood Foundation. I'm the man who fights for the rights of the fathers and the men in the Kenyan community and African community. So men, I'm here for you. So my question, yes, for the men. So my question is this. For the last couple months, for the last couple years, most of the men who are here, and I believe most of the men and women, we have invested back home. So most of the men, they want to go back home. But our spouses, they don't want to go back. They want to stay here. Yeah. So we find you find in between there is marriages that they're breaking up because of women want to stay and the men want to go. So my question is this. If these men want to go back to Kenya, they want to settle back because they have investments, what other services do you have there? Can we have a diaspora, a special diaspora office to take care of us men and women who want to go back? Because I've seen sometimes when you go back to a country, there's so many, well, their resources are there. There's so many county resources, but they don't really explain to us what's supposed to be done. For instance, okay, I have a land, I have a house, I'm paying taxes. I need to have an office of diaspora office whereby I can go, I can get information about land, I can get information about taxes to pay, and also I can get other information about maybe investments. So that is key for us because we don't want to have this. We already invested ourselves. There's so much stress. I want to go back home with less stress, get all that information, so I can be able to retire peacefully on my own with no problem from anybody. Thank you.
Chuck, thank you. Thank you very much for those questions. So I will take the Samuel's, Obed's, and Meshima Frederick's questions, and then we can do a second round. Samuel, that office already exists. It is called the State Department for Diaspora Affairs. That's what we are there for. Yes. We sit in Nairobi. My office sits in Nairobi, the State Department for Diaspora Affairs, to do these things. We work in the diaspora and we are headquartered in Nairobi. We are the touch point for returning diaspora. We have programs, we have the information. If you go to any of our social media here, and it is here for all of you to follow us on, as far as I know, all the various social media on Instagram, on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, I think Threads, YouTube, all of it is there. So engage. We're already there. We're already offering that service. And thank you for doing the work for supporting the men. Tunashukuru. Let me take Mheshimiwa Frederick. A question of KQ's direct flights to Minnesota. Following COVID, KQ actually dropped a lot of its routes and has just now begun to reopen the routes that it had. For example, it's just reopened Bangkok and so on and so forth. And a number of other routes within Africa, such as Botswana and so on. The process of reopening routes or even starting new ones is a long and complex one, especially for an airline that has had its struggles. Yeah? So, I am not KQ's spokesperson, but I will send the message to them. I will say this has been a request that has been given by Diaspora, but to let you know that there is a process that they follow in determining which routes they can take and which ones they are not able to take. So here in Tawambia, Diaspora bonds already exist. The Dow CSD, CBK has a special offering on your app that you can download right now, directly where you can buy and sell treasury bills and treasury bonds immediately. Go to Play Store and download an app called Dow CSD, that's D-H-O-W, like a boat, Dow CSD. This was launched last year, I believe. It was launched last year. Before, in the past, if you were to buy treasury bills or treasury bonds, you had to literally walk to Times Tower, where treasury is, and pick up forms and fill them up. But provided you have a bank account in Kenya, you can immediately begin to buy and sell treasury bills and bonds. And right now, some are going at the rate of 18% interest, which is not something you're going to be able to find in many places. So you can make up to 18% interest on treasury bills, on treasury bonds. So that already exists. Dow CSD, D-H-O-W CSD. D-H-O-W CSD, Dow CSD. Okay, my team is here, they are happy to give you more information on Dow CSD, but that already exists. CBK is actually currently on a tour around the US, helping Kenyans who want to open up DAO CSD accounts, and they can do that. But now I have told you about it, so you can immediately download it, and that problem has been solved. Just a second, I'll get to you. So that is DAO CSD. The third issue was a consulate or a facility for you to easily renew passports, IDs, and visas. And this is the enduring question from every diaspora community here. Minnesota wants a consulate, Atlanta wants a consulate, Dallas wants a consulate, Houston wants a consulate, Boston wants a consulate, but we have to have conversations about the use and misuse of government resources as well. We're not able to be everywhere. We cannot afford, let me just finish and then I can listen to you. We cannot open offices everywhere. What have we done, however? Most of our a number of our services are available on eCitizen. What we have also done is we do mobile consular services fairly regularly. As I said, we've just finished an MCS round we've just finished an MCS round that covered a number of cities. What cities were they? Houston, Seattle. And previously we had done other cities. We are doing what we can with the resources that we have. We are not able to set up consulates everywhere, and I'll be honest with you. I'm not going to be able to set up consulates everywhere. But what I can commit is that we are able to continue to offer services on a revolving way. We bring officers, when they come, show up for MCS, sign up for MCS, come and get your services. Okay? Secondly, to clarify, there are no visa requirements to go to Kenya. Kenya is one of the world's very few completely visa-free destinations. Since January 1st, nobody in the world, not even people from Afghanistan or Libya, require visas to enter Kenya. All you need to do is do an ETA, which is travel advisory. You have to go on the system, electronic travel advisory, and basically tell us who you are. And for you Kenyans, you don't need to do that. You already hold a Kenyan passport. So this is, that's it. All your problems addressed and solved. Okay. Obed, I'd like to hear details about which passport application this is and where it was, which one is pending, and what your eCitizen says about your daughter's application. He's going to help you. Okay? He's going to help you. So before you leave here, come and see him and he's going to help you with that. Secondly, I would also be very surprised if a government that issues, I am surprised with you, if you say that a government that gives citizenship as of right to children also is asking them to pay 1 million shillings. Those are myths. Those are myths. Myths and lies. Every one of your children here has a right to citizenship for free. If these children are the children of either a Kenyan mother or a Kenyan father, they have a constitutional right to citizenship. So this has been the law all the time. Diaspora, naomba mwache kusikiza habari ambazo si za ukweli. Because somebody starts a rumor, spreads it on social media, and the whole place burns. You have? Yes. I know. I even clarified. I even gave clarity about that. I issued a clarifying notice about that. You have a constitutional, these children of yours have a constitutional right to citizenship. It has always been there. Okay?
What's the cost of it?
It is free.
Free? Is that right?
All you have to do is apply for them for a passport. It is unclear what you're asking for. They are citizens. If you want them to travel on a, would you like to clarify this issue? Let me let the immigration officer clarify. Yeah.
Hello? In fact, I'm worried with that question because we have been giving this Kenyan passport, and I can confirm because I'm the in charge of consular office in Washington, D.C. We normally give all these small kids the passport. When do we give them if they are not Kenyan? We'd like to know any Kenyan who have come there when the father or a mother is a Kenyan and we have refused to give the passport. The new constitution is very clear. It's not the old one. The new constitution is very clear. It says, if at the time of the birth one of your parents was a Kenyan. You are Kenyan by birth. Don't read too much in the constitution because you get confused. We have been giving passport to children. You just need to have one of your parents being a Kenyan and you qualify to be a Kenyan by birth. In fact, it says irrespective of where you are born. And people here need to understand that our constitution is different from America. Because in America, you have to be born here to be Kenyan by birth. In Kenya, we say, irrespective of where you are born, so long as one of your parents is a Kenyan, you are Kenyan by birth. So even if you have the kids here, this kid is Kenyan by birth. So our constitution is unique. It's a hybrid of so many constitutions. So Kenyan get it from you, so long as one of the parents, even if you're married an American, so long as one of our parents is a Kenyan, that kid is Kenyan by birth. That is why we give them passport. Is that okay? Maybe on that note, I can also comment about the passport. It is true, and you have been, even our CS and our PS immigration have been pronouncing themselves, that we had a problem of the machines. Now the machines are there, all the passports, Madam PS, I can confirm last week, we received all our pending A-series passport. We had a problem of A-series. A-series is that 4 pages. Those are the regular people apply. Most people do not apply for C and B because those are meant for business people who move a lot, so they need more pages to put their visas. But for the ordinary, we'll go for A-series. So that is why we had a problem, because after COVID, we found that we had so many applications for A vis-a-vis what we had in stock. And that is very normal to even American. They were telling me that their passport now, they have to delay. I saw those notices where you have been told, American people, that your passport will be delayed a bit because of lack of those books. So we are there to do what we can. We will continue doing it. I can confirm that we have all the passport which were pending, and especially, I want to know whether that one was at 4 pages, because that is what we had a delay. Otherwise, the rest in our office, we have less than 200 passport pending, and those are the recent ones. A passport can pay for various reasons. If you come without a requirement, and we allow you as a Kenyan, because it doesn't make sense a Kenyan to fly from Minnesota to come to DC, he misses one of the requirements. We tell them, okay, we are going to take your fingerprint, biometrics, but kindly go and provide us with this requirement. If you don't provide it, even if you stay for 10 years, we are not going to provide that passport, because it's a requirement. And we normally tell you, instead of chasing you, telling you, no, go back to Minnesota, come with this. We just write on the file, okay, you have taken the biometrics, the person has promised to send. In fact, we give you our emails to send. If you don't send, even if you call how many times that your passport is delayed, and you know what we require. Because as an immigration officer, we cannot just issue a passport. We need to confirm. If it's a kid, we need the document of the father, so that we can qualify that he's a Kenyan. If you don't give us the document of the parent, do you think you are going to provide that passport? What will I say tomorrow? I'll be accused of giving a foreigner a passport. So as we work with you, you also understand us, that we have a law we follow. I think I'll stop there.
Very good, thank you very much. Okay, I think hold on. Let me finish the responses, then you can come in the second round. So, passport applications settled, diaspora children settled. So please, if you're walking around not registering your children because you're waiting for us to charge you $1 million shillings, you're not interested in charging you $1 million shillings, just get your children passports. It is in our interest as well as a government to ensure that these children of yours who are born abroad bear Kenyan passports. Because we have an obligation as a government, a constitutional obligation to give these children documentation. And I'll tell you how far we have gone to do it. There is a country that shall remain unnamed where it is still illegal to have children outside of wedlock. Okay? So if somebody, if a woman gives birth and she's an unmarried woman, she goes to jail for an offense called fornication, or morals is what they call it. So in this country that remains unnamed, many of our children were born and did not have documentation. Why did they not have documentation? Because if we issue documentation and say this is Dr. Faria's child and there is no, Dr. Faria is an unmarried woman, she will immediately go to jail. So many children who are up to 10 years old hawakuwa na passport ama cheti zozote. But we don't follow the law of the other country. According to us, children, every child has a right to a name and has a right to these documents. All of our children, it doesn't matter where they are born. So we went on a very aggressive project where we went around and took DNA samples of over 700 people. Because you come with this child and you say, this child is mine. So we take the child's DNA and we take your DNA, or the mother's DNA and the child. If we can match and say this child is actually the child of a Kenyan mother or Kenyan father, we immediately issue birth certificate, passport, and so on, and we cure all of that at great cost to the Kenyan government. It is a project that has never been done before, but the State Department for Diaspora Affairs funded that project, and we did it in the Middle East. All that to say that we care about these children. If children don't have documentation, this is how children are trafficked. This is how children find themselves in all kinds of trouble. As a responsible government, we want to protect our children. So that is what we have done. So do not listen to these stories that try to sound as if we don't care. We go out of our way to make sure that these children can be accounted for. If one of you dies here, and this child does not have Kenyan documentation, how can we help? I tell you that because part of my job is to make sure that children, 5-year-olds who are stranded in other countries, can get home. This week, I have an officer in the UAE who has gone to pick up a 5-year-old child whose mother died and has nobody else. I had to send an officer to the UAE to go and pick up that Kenyan child so that they can bring them home to their grandmother. This is the job that we do. We care about these children. These are our children. So please take it from me when I tell you that these people, these young ones, are important to us, but also we want them to have these documents because when there is a problem, we are able to get them. I have run evacuations from Sudan and from Israel. And part of our job and part of the work is to make sure that the people who are coming through are holding that Kenyan passport. So it is important. It is important. It is important, even if your child has dual citizenship, it is important that you get them to have their Kenyan passport. You don't know when things could go belly up. Okay? Okay, so, misuse of state resources, allow me to say, there is what you might see, but there's also the stories that I've just described now, which cost a lot of money. But we might not necessarily tell you that we are doing these things, yeah? We don't always have the full story. But we are audited by the Auditor General, isn't it? Yes. We are audited by the Auditor General, those reports exist. You can definitely interrogate them, and it is well within your right to even, raise issues, and we want Diaspora to be involved in those stories. Allow me to invite all of you to be a part of the 15 billion tree planting initiative. We are working hard to green up that country. We have a serious, our deserts are widening, they're getting larger and larger. As an administration, we're working very hard to plant 15 billion trees by 2032. What does that mean? As the State Department for Diaspora Affairs, we need in the next 1 year to plant 330,000 trees. I don't have officers on the ground. You are my people. But all of you are out here in Minnesota and other places. And I don't want you to plant trees in Minnesota. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to demarcate a portion of Kangaita, I think it's called Kangaita Forest in Kirinyaga, which is where we have been assigned, and I'm going to call it the Minnesota Corner. Yes. And I will expect you guys to send trees. Yes. And to send your families to come and plant trees. Yes. Is that fine? Is that fine? I challenge you. How many of the 300,000 trees will Minnesota take? You're a big population here that should have a consulate. How many trees should you take? How many trees? Yes, there's a cost to the trees. There's a cost to the trees and the planting. I can come back to you with a budget, or you're welcome to partner with a tree nursery in Mashinani, where you just tell them to come and deliver the trees to us. We can find volunteers, and I tell you how much it is. Mpande miti. Are you going to support us on that one? Yes? Yes? I really would like to see which of these states is going to be the biggest one. Partnership is better? Aya, sawa sawa, let us get it done. Okay. I've heard you about getting support from diasporians here in terms of people who serve Kenyans. It is always an ongoing conversation about how do we have the right blend between foreign service officers who we post here and diaspora officers. Can I ask you if we could continue engaging deeply, especially with your diaspora associations here? That is what will help us get moving. Okay? Because even if I were to hire diaspora officers, I cannot hire one from every one of your states. Yeah? Okay. So let us work together. Let us continue to partner and push forward. And as I like to tell people, assume good faith. Assume good faith. We come in peace. Yeah? We come in peace. Let me take the next round of questions. There were...
So we will start with the lady as I promised.
Madam PS, congratulations for the post you have. Na nitazungumza kwa Kiswahili sababu mimi si mzuri sana kwa hii lugha ya Amerika hapa. Kongole kwa kazi nzuri na tunajivunia wewe. We are very proud of you for the work you are doing. My question is this, I'm going to mix the language. Then, because there is a question which has been asked by one of us here about marriages and so forth. Then, can it be possible, or can you, because you are now the boss, create a desk for women, and then I am suggesting then it will be Women Diaspora Desk. Then such issues can be addressed in that department. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ladies?
Hi, my name is Esther, and hi, Bill. My name is Esther. So I do have a question regarding mental health. I know that that's one area that we have not addressed or nobody has talked about. We do have a lot of Kenyans who are in prison and a lot of Kenyans who are in homeless shelters. So, and of course the mental health issue has become rampant in the US, and we are losing a lot of our children. So is there anything that the Kenyan government can do to help especially people who are in jail and those who are homelessness? Or what? Yeah. Yeah, so that's my question. It's concerning. Yeah.
Thank you, Madam PS, for coming to Minnesota to address us. We are so happy and excited to have you here. Yeah, my name is ROSELINE. I'm the president for Munyegetinge organization. And you can see there's a lot of people, a lot of cases here. That's not the issue. But I'm here to asking on behalf of my people. They're asking like they had pending applications for IDs. I know so many passports have been cleared, but I haven't heard about the Kenyan IDs. And some of these people, they are stuck here because they don't have a passport. You cannot apply for a Kenyan passport without the ID. And at the same time, you cannot have the American passport. So, and again, there are some people who have lost their documents. Like someone lost a whole bunch of the birth certificate, Kenyan ID, and the passport all together. I don't know, is there a way you can help them because there's no identification? I'm not talking about the kids, I'm talking about the old mamas who came here, and wherever they went, for some reason people stole or hid their documents. How do we help them? Because they want to go home.
Thank you, Madam PS, for coming to visit us and be able to listen to us. Mine might be a repeat of the same question here of identifications. When we applied for our passports, mine has been 3 years. I've got all the necessary papers here with me to confirm it's 3 years, and I've seen no response so far. So there could be a lack of communication why I did everything, and not me only. There are so many people who gave out every detail that was required. We paid for everything, but nothing has been done. 3 good years. On top of that, my name is Arnold Motanya, and then on top of that, there is my ID. Our IDs has been the same thing. IDs 2 years since they came here. I don't know whether it's this revolving migration people are doing it for real. Why would be so many of us complain that we have not got any response what is happened to the ID and our passports? And as you said, there are so many issues also in how to get into the diaspora, but there's not been communication. You know it is existing, and there may be a few, but it's not communicated to us. So give a leeway on how you communicate with us, whatever goes on, so that we are aware. We don't keep on asking other individuals. So it gives a clear way that we can also get to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, let's do other questions other than IDs and passports. So, two or one.
Good evening. My name is David Bichanga, and Madam Secretary, I thank you for coming. David Bichanga. Me, I don't have a question, but a witness. I think that the passport people of late have done very well by coming here. We used to go to DC to get our passports, so I appreciate the efforts. And I want to be witness that my 2 children here, when they were last here, we went, we filled out everything that was required, and we all got our passports. My first passport in over 20 years. So I think, as the gentleman said, maybe you are missing something. Please follow up. Of late, they have been very, very responsive. Also know that they're also human. They work for the government, but they're human. Maybe if there's a mistake, it's not like they're not doing their job. Thank you.
Asante sana kwa nafasi. Mimi Donald. The same question, Donald. Yeah, the same question. This guy has praised that they are doing good job, that they are not doing good job. I applied my passport 2 years ago. Yeah, I've made effort to call them to make sure why I don't receive my passport back. So I'm asking this question: is the embassy really working? Because if I call 8 in the morning, they are closing at 12 o'clock. Where are they going? Are they working, or they are going to do other jobs? I've done several calls, and I've done it on social media, but there's nothing happening. So the question is, can you address this issue so that once we apply the passport, we get them right there? If it takes 1 month, we wait for 1 month. 2, if we have paid for the services, they don't have to ask us to send the stamps. While we send the stamps, and when we already paid for that service, they could also, once they do the services, they could send the passports without asking us to send the stamp back to them. So what's the service for? What do we pay for? Why do we pay for that? That's my question. And those guys, honestly, I've done an inquiry. They are doing part-time job apart from the government. If they are working, they should work from 8 to 5. Why do they leave at 12 o'clock?
Right. Let me answer those questions. Let me answer those ones, and then I don't know. Were there other questions? Will we do a final round, and then do we have time? No. We have time for one final round. Okay. Really quickly, Mama Sam, I think you will need to tell me what you want the Women Diaspora Desk to do. it needs to be clear to us why a specific desk and what it is. If you would like to put together a half-a-page or one-page concept and send it to us, fine, thank you. Esther, mental health issues are a real concern for us. That is why we are probably the only state department that actually has a counseling unit that is available to diaspora. On eCitizen, you can actually book a counseling session for the diaspora, if you're a diasporian or your family. We counsel diaspora who have issues. Of course, we are limited because we are all the way in Nairobi. We have different time zones and so on. But that facility exists. We also counsel a lot of your family members. They come to us when you are distressed here, when you are unwell, when somebody dies here. We meet a lot of your family at our office, the State Department, and we do a lot of counseling. We also have created, or are in the process of creating, a mental health action plan for the diaspora. We circulated it for your comments a while back. I don't know if you were able to give your comments, but we circulated it for your comments a while back. We are concerned, as you are, about mental health or mental ill health in the diaspora. And this is something we would like to work with you on. On our various social media, you'll be able to find a lot of information around, including around the mental health action plan and what we can do. We are also the department that maintains a register of Kenyans who are incarcerated abroad. So we know every Kenyan who is serving a jail sentence anywhere in the world. Part of our job is actually supporting them. Part of the job of the officers who you're saying are not working is because the reason they're leaving at 12 o'clock is to go and do jail visits. Part of their job is to visit Kenyans who are in jail. Part of their job is to visit Kenyans who are in hospital. Part of their job is to work to help people who need to go home, people who are distressed. It is an extremely difficult job. But what I'm saying is this. Depending on where people are incarcerated, we have different approaches and different programs for them. In certain places, when people are incarcerated abroad, when they are released, they don't even have clothes or suitcases to go home in. So part of our job is actually to cover their shame and make sure that they have a dera to wear when they're being deported home and so on. So we do all of these things. We might not shout about them because also you might not necessarily want to put all of your business on social media where other governments can see. Yeah? But these programs exist. We also work to really support people in distress, so reach out. We have supported very many Kenyans in distress, including persons who are on suicide watch, or persons who've had psychotic breaks and are living on the street. We've been able to bring them home. We've been able to do medical evacuations. We've had cases where Kenyans have been found on the streets in Turkey, in South Africa, in various places, and we bring them home. And at the very least, settle them with their families. Okay? So, there is a lot of work that is going on. But the government might not be the best tool for dealing with this issue. Because we are all the way in Nairobi to a large extent. But you are here. You are the community of the other Kenyan who is in distress. You have access to resources, even within the systems of the Minnesota State support systems for whether you have support programs and so on for healthcare. So there is need for a very strong diaspora association or support within this community. And that is where I charge you, Esther and others, and Samuel of the boy child / men, to support diaspora in distress here. Itabidi mfanye hiyo kazi nyinyi wenyewe. By the time you're coming to us, we are a blunt tool that we have very few options. Our options are, okay, we'll put you on a plane, we bring you home. We can maybe put you in touch with our doctors at Mathare Hospital and so on. Those are our options, they are limited. Or to bring you home where you can stay with your family and that kind of thing. But in terms of the other opportunities here, that would have to be the associations here. Okay, Roselinda. And this is the answer for all the passports / ID questions. The documents that are pending. I'm going to ask Mr. Yes, Mr. Karoki to sit there. Okay? Those of you who have pending IDs or passports, come with your document, with your tracking number. Because when you applied, you got a tracking number. Come with your tracking number, we sit there, he checks it for you, he takes a note of it. Yes, he takes a note of it, so that we can check, we see where that thing is stuck. Also check on your eCitizen and tell us what it is saying on the eCitizen. Is it saying it is at printing stage? Is it saying it is at processing stage? What is your eCitizen saying about this document? Okay, but he's going to sit here, make your way, give him the information he's going to check before we leave. Haraka haraka, okay? Does that resolve your issue? We're going to do that. What happens when you lose all your documents? I think this is still Roselinda's question. What happens when you lose all your documents? This is important for all of you to know. What happens if you lose all your documents? And it is the same answer for what if I am traveling and I am in Japan and I lose my passport? Then what? You go to the embassy. Immigration officers are trained to know, to establish whether you're actually a citizen or not. But also, if you are a Kenyan citizen, we have your biometrics. We'll be able to run and see, okay, this is the ID of Roselinda Kerubo, isn't it? And then you can begin the process of applying for these fresh documents, okay? So you do not need to absolutely panic if you lose your ID or your passport. If you come to the embassy, you will get help, okay? But you will have to do that. So your colleague or friend who lost the documents can come and start getting duplicates of those documents, okay? And passport applied for, Arnold, passport applied for 2 years ago. I'd like to know what your eCitizen is saying in terms of where that application is. But I think I've given a very clear way forward. Mr. Karoki is going to sit there, and then you can please bring your tracking number. Bring your tracking number, which is the number that you got from eCitizen for your when you applied for the passport. Bring your tracking number and let us figure. We also don't want things to be sitting in our inbox for 2 years. We also want to clear them. You know, in fact, when I took office, I came to DC in December of 2022. I walked around with this team and I found hundreds of passports. Hundreds of passports. We even published a list on the website saying, if these are your tracking numbers, come and pick them up. And that is where Mr. Donald, we started the requirement that you give us an addressed envelope. We ask you for an addressed envelope because people were leaving passports sitting in our offices for 2, 3, 4 years. And there are very clear laws about what we can do with a passport once it has been prepared. So we ask you to give us an address so that we also don't make a mistake and send it somewhere, because it's a very sensitive document. Somebody can take your passport and identity theft, na your document inatembea. So Mr. Donald, that is why we insist on a self-addressed envelope. It is not because we can't afford $4 to courier it to you. It is because the reason we ask for an addressed envelope is for the security of your document.
That's true. I did that one and I did pay the post office. I paid $4 for.
So fantastic. So if your document is still pending, I think I've given a way forward in terms of the way to deal with that. I believe, thank you very much, David, for also, I think David, no, there you are, David, for also giving your review about the fact that these documents are actually moving. I really appreciate that. I have learned that very many of us don't think about our plumbing. How is the plumbing in your house, Dr. Bugonko? How is the plumbing in your house? When's the last time you thought about the plumbing in your house? You don't, isn't it? When it works, you don't think about it. But if you have a leak, everything stops and you have to fix it. Government is like plumbing. When everything is working, your documents are coming out in time, kila kitu kazi inatembea, we don't think about it. Yeah? But when there is a small problem, then everything stops. So it is useful every once in a while to also remember and be grateful for plumbing that works. Okay,
Thank you, Madam PS. I think in the interest of time, we'll just do one last question because we need to leave here. They'll come knocking here in like less than 5 minutes. So I'll give the cameraman, since he did a good job, and Poleni, but we have to wind up.
Thank you, Madam PS. And it's good that we have that pattern.
The rest of you who have problems can start going to
numbers. Yeah. We are happy with the Department of Diaspora Affairs. One of the issues people of diaspora have is investment in Kenya. We buy a land, you are given a fake title, and this is something you are done as such in the land, the Ministry of Lands. So if you can use your knowledge and the good practices from diaspora, how we can elevate that problem of us getting fake titles. If you can do something, I know it's not your ministry, but because we are under you now, if you can communicate whereby even from your office can help us to certify which is the correct title we are given. Another thing I have to say about passport, I know the embassy has been doing okay, but this is my request. We fill the forms through e-citizen, then we are supposed to travel to DC for fingerprints. I am requesting that embassy should contract local companies which take fingerprints so that we can work here even if they add a fee, so that they take the fingerprints, they take to the embassy instead of people traveling there. Thank you.
Last question, please.
Yes.
The rest of us, could we please be quiet so that we can finish this business very
Always
quickly?
when I talk, I want people quiet. Asante sana mheshimiwa PS kwa kuja, but I will switch to the local language easily. Thank you for coming and taking your time. My question as a political appointee, because he's a political appointee. When he's a political appointee, as a certain question from political standpoint can be asked. So that's why she understands, maybe anybody understands when you are a political appointee, a question can come from somewhere and there. However, my question, the media has asked that question, but I need to emphasize, e-citizen doesn't work. When you click it goes circles, and that's something you have to go and check it. I don't want to go there. Now you are here. My question to you, not all this passport thing,